Again, I want to revert back. Local elections are, I think, the biggest game changer, the biggest difference. And I think we're seeing people, especially with what happened in Loudoun County, not so far away from here, of people saying enough is enough. This is crazy what happened with COVID. This is crazy what's happening to my children. This is crazy what's happening at the gas pumps. I need to get involved in politics because politics is getting involved in my life in more ways than one, and it's making my life miserable. And I think this could be a representation today of what we're going to be seeing.
What do you guys think of the people, I guess we can call them like refugees of California or people fleeing New York?
California.
Going to Florida or going to Texas, going to Arizona. Do you think they'll actually learn and start voting differently?
Yeah, absolutely.
No, I don't think they will.
You don't think so?
No.
I disagree with you.
Really?
But
You disagree? Let's hear why.
No, you want to go first? And I'll rebuttal. Okay, I'll go first.
How about this? There was a guy who wrote about how he was moving to Florida knowing the politics were bad, but California has just become too awful, so he's going to continue to vote Democrat when he gets to Florida.
Okay, I think those are rare exceptions.
This is millions of people
and usually
about.
When people leave, they had enough of this nonsense. I was in New York City. I left New York City. I first went to New Hampshire. Now I'm in Florida. But obviously, the people who are naturally either conservative or against the other insanity that the Democratic Party put forward within the last 3 years are the ones who are leaving. People who are fed up and sick of the policies, sick of the taxes, sick of the regulations, sick of the mandates, sick of the lockdowns are leaving. This is why I left.
Right, but
and I think this is why, I don't know if you want to talk about okay, that's fine. But personally, I left. And I see a lot of other people like myself leaving because of the same reasons. They had enough of the big cities, and
Agreed.
I'm going to be voting a certain way in Florida. So I think there's a lot more people like that, and it's only polarizing the political landscape.
I do think, though, that there's a lot of people who will leave, New York, California, wherever other horrifying place that they find themselves living. I think they will leave and they will go vote Democrat in other places because they will feel that the Democratic Party just didn't do it right where they were. Like those people who say that wasn't real communism, those kind of people, they're just going to keep voting the exact same way.
But the people who love the mask mandates, the people who love the lockdowns, the people who love the transitions that are happening to children, they're going to stay where they're going to have where they're going to have the best representation.
Or are they going to be like, you know what, I have to leave for this very specific reason. I do think that it was correct, but perhaps
why would they be moving to a state with crazy anti-maskers? Why would they be moving to a state?
But we're looking at it. Look at New Hampshire. All of the, as you say, all of the massholes, they moved to New Hampshire, right? Because there's no income tax and whatever, and they're just going to pay high property taxes or whatever. So they move up there, and now New Hampshire's purple. Like they're moving up there, and they're voting blue.
I don't know. Well, here's the thing. We are seeing that there's a lot of... Where was it that we were looking at earlier where it was a lot of independents? Was that the Rubio election? That
Miami did.
Was it? It was a bunch of independents that put him over?
It was the independents.
They didn't actually say Republicans?
The GOP was down compared to Dems, but the independents tacked on to
I am curious to see if there are people that might be like ghost voting, not really identifying as anything, that are kind of really sick of what's going on, the people that Luke is talking about. But I do think there are probably a bunch of like woke-tarded morons that like just will probably think like that, what Libby is saying, and still kind of think there's a different Democrat that might do it better. I'm just curious to see where this lands, because I'm genuinely curious to see if people actually learn from 2020, the lockdowns, the riots, and all this stuff that's been taking place. So I'm just curious to see where these people actually land.
You might be right, and I might be right, but it depends who's more right, depending on the individuals. And it's very hard to gauge.
It's interesting. I talked to a lot of parents during the lockdowns who were dealing with masks and whatever else, and their kids were being suicidal because they couldn't go
forced
play
inoculations
sports and all of this stuff. They were dealing with it. It was even pre-forced inoculations, as you say. And they were moving to Texas and different places so that their kids could go to school. But that was the only reason. So it was like once they get to the place where the schools are open, they're going to keep voting exactly the same way that they were voting before.
I think COVID matters a lot more than we're actually giving it credit, because this is the first election kind of officially after COVID. And I think that's going to matter, because there's going to be a certain amount of individuals that fell for the trauma-based mind control, and they felt safe because their state was locking people down inside of their own homes. There's other individuals who were denied seeing their loved ones at their deathbed. And when they go through such emotional trauma because of the state, I don't think those people are going to be reverting back saying we need more state. That's just me personally.
The people who watched their grandmas die live on Zoom, they're not going to go back.